How you doing, everyone? And welcome to this episode of the Isaac Hayes Show, talking about life, talking about liberty, and yes, talking about the pursuit of happiness and showing you and the audience and everyone in the world that Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day. This is the day that the Lord has made. You should rejoice and be glad in it. So happy you get to join me, and people that are watching me as the show premieres on Rumble, YouTube, and all the podcast platforms. Thank you. Please leave a comment. Tell me where you're listening from. And this helps me out because I do check these live streams out, and I see y'all comments, and I want to know where y'all from. I know we got a lot of people from Cajun country listening, but I know there's a lot of people from the Dr. Michael Swartz show and Two Mics Live that comes over after Dr. Michael Swartz, and we want to welcome everyone into the room. You know, they go ahead and shoot me some publicity every so often. So go, if you haven't heard of the Two Mics Live show or Dr. Michael Swartz show, go check it out. Dr. Michael Swartz airs every day on Rumble on the Two Mics Live channel at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. My time is 9 o'clock. His is 10 o'clock, and I come on right after him. So I'm 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. Also, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you can check out the Two Mics Live show on Rumble and other platforms. Just go ahead and check that out. That's at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the same days that I air my show. I'm just early in the day. So, but hope everyone's having a good day. 2 weeks until Election Day. I've been telling people I want to go early vote, and I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about early voting. And I think people are listening to Dan Bongino, Charlie Kirk, and others that are saying, hey, let's go ahead and go vote early. And this is for reasons that, you know, to make sure that our elections are fair. Let's just say it like that. And I think that is going to help us. And look, Georgia has record turnout. Florida's having a record turnout. I heard on our local affiliate news network earlier earlier today that they're thinking is going to be a record-breaking year for the state of Louisiana, and it's just there's a lot going on. We still got 2 weeks, and I got stories how the media are trying to they're biased against Trump. I've been getting stories all day about Trump this or who's going to run Trump's campaign or presidents, who's this, who that. And it's kind of funny how the media is pushing this. Like, I just got an article a few minutes ago from Politico, and this is the article: inside the three-way battle to run Trump's White House if he wins. It's a knife fight. That's what they're saying, knife fighting. This is the funny thing, okay? Who's running the Biden administration? See, the media is going to say, well, Trump's going to have people dictating him and telling him what to do and when to do it and how to do it. They've been doing that with Biden for the last 3.5 years. So don't come tell me that someone's going to run Trump's White House when we already know the 4 years that Trump was in the White House, he ran it himself. He didn't have handlers handling things for him. Trump did his job. He was a good president. And guess what? I think he's going to be a good president again. I'm praying that he becomes the 47th president of the United States. Now, we're on the election. I want to go ahead and talk about my main topic for the night. And I saw this and I said, oh, yes, I got to talk about that. I'm a sports fan. Now, I don't bet. I have religious beliefs why a person should not bet. Okay? And you know, if it's for a raffle for a good cause, I'll give the money. I'm not expecting to win anyway. If I win, all great. You know, if we're doing a friendly competition or something like that to put in for a pot, yeah. But as for going to a casino, playing blackjack, on that note, I love playing the game of blackjack. Blackjack is fun to play. I love playing Texas Hold'em and poker. Now, we don't play for money. We don't even play for toothpicks. We just play to play, and we have chips and everything like that, but we're not losing physical money. And but I'm not a betting man. I do not bet because of religious purposes. And I say religious purpose is my beliefs that one shouldn't bet. Now that's up between you and the Lord. That you have to pray and ask the God, a good God up in heaven to direct you and guide you in the way you need to go. But again, I'm not a betting man. But I do listen to sports. I do. I used to play sports, so I know that people put bets on everything. They put bets on they probably put bets on how long we're going to have the Isaac Hayes show today. I always hear about Michael Schwartz talking about Jeff Ahern, how, he goes over the time. Dr. Mike, if you're listening, you should put bets on that. Hey, how long Jeff's going to go on? You have these people bet for everything. And we live in a society that we always have to know the betting odds. And if you look at the title of this episode, I'm asking you the question, who are you going to bet on? Kamala or Donald Trump? Because we got some good news if we're going according to betting odds. I got this story from Fox News, and it's on the lines of polling. What are the election betting odds? Expert explains why Trump is current favor. So if you go look at the odds that they give Trump, and this is coming from the website electionbettingodds.com, it shows that Trump has a 58.5% chance of winning the presidential election if the election was held last Monday. Now, Real Clear Politics apparently came out with a betting average as well. Now, Real Clear Politics, we talked about the other day, if there was a no toss-up state that Donald Trump would win. I went and look it up, and it looks like the map's all messed up. I don't know what's going on with Real Clear, but a while back, and I seen the video of Dr. Michael Schwartz bringing this out, of that Real Clear Politics, if it was a no toss-up state, Donald Trump would win in a landslide. Now, is that possible? Yes. But right now, as what we're hearing, is a close election, or is going to be a close election. Remember, early voting, go vote. But according to Real Clear Politics, and this article came out on Monday, says that Donald Trump has a 59% chance of winning the election. Now, prior to this, if you go look at all the polling and everything, like they always said Harris was winning. Harris had a bump from the get-go. When she declared she was running for president, after they forced Biden out of the presidential election, she was ahead. This is something we heard all the time. And it was a lot of the news media, and I'm going to talk about them later on, a lot of the news media would push Harris because they knew Harris needed to get that bump. And when you were hearing when they were debating on Biden leaving the campaign, you notice right away that Harris was up. Even before he got out, if it was a Harris-Trump election, Harris would be winning. And she had that bump until probably a month ago. But people started asking questions, and she started losing, so she started appearing more to the press. I promise you her handlers didn't want that to happen, but she had to appear in front of people. Even friendly interviews, she fumbled. Even friendly interviews, she stumbled. And especially the Bret Baier interview, which is probably one of the most watched ones of all, and it was uncut. It was unfiltered. They did their job. They exposed Kamala Harris. Now the polls are showing that Donald Trump is leading in most states. Not all, but most. And it's virtually a tie. They're in the margin of error, but Donald Trump has been leading a lot of swing states. And ladies and gentlemen, this right here, the betting odds have switched because Harris was even up on this. But now she is losing the betting odds, and you don't want to lose against the betting odds. Now, this is the bad thing about the betting odds. It's betting odds. You don't know the outcome of this election yet. This is why we're telling people, and I'm joining the crowd, hey, go early vote if you can. And I'm even thinking about going early vote. I like going on election day and vote. I love standing in line and talking to people and asking their opinions about the election. They don't know that I do this as a hobby. On election night, I will be sitting here in the studio with my good friend and fellow podcaster, Kelby Dago. We're going to be I don't think Kelby's going to be in the studio, but Kelby's going to be at his studio, and we're going to go ahead and talk politics, and we're going to bring breaking news. We're going to have guests on the show. We're working on all that right now. I'm just saying, I love, going back to my point, I love going on election day. But it's funny how Democrats are telling you, hey, wait until election day. Vote on election day. Why do they get to go vote early and we have to wait on election day? The last election, there was so many complications that people couldn't even vote. And ladies and gentlemen, I honestly feel the Democrat Party wants you. I don't know what they got cooking. I don't. But I'm going to tell you this. These numbers don't look good for Kamala Harris. And this is the question I want to ask you, the audience. Who are you betting on? Who are you betting on? Look, okay, like I said, this race is far from over. Yes, I heard Dan Bongino say that on Tuesday's episode of his show. It's looking good. It's looking good. Kamala Harris's campaign is falling apart. The poll numbers are not looking good. You know it's bad when Harry and the New York Times have to try to expose Donald Trump McDonald's visit as stage. You know it's bad when the media is trying to find every nick and cranny to go ahead and change your mind. They're trying to find a reason to print a story that's going to make Donald Trump look bad. But this is something about the media they have not learned in the last 8 years. Donald Trump, for some reason, doesn't look bad. And look, he's not afraid to talk to people. Got the word today. I want to make sure it's not in my notes and I'll just think about it. Donald Trump beat Kamala Harris to the punch. What am I talking about? Podcasting giant Joe Rogan, who is one of the biggest podcasters, if not the biggest podcaster in America today. I forgot. I know it's Joe Rogan. I think it's let me make sure. The Joe Rogan Experience. I'm just thinking about that. I should have named my show that, the Isaac Hayes Experience. I'm not Joe Rogan, though. Anyway, but Joe Rogan will appear on the podcast on Friday. Hope it's not at the same time as my show. I had someone reach out to me and say, man, you should do another slide. You have a lot of competition. I know. But Joe Rogan has agreed. Well, Donald Trump has agreed to go on Joe Rogan's show. Now, Joe Rogan's show has 17.5 million subscribers on YouTube and more than 14 million followers on Spotify. Think about that. Now, probably some of those 17.5 already has Spotify. But Joe Rogan is a big voice. He puts out an interview and it goes viral within seconds. This is a good... And look, Kamala Harris, I want to go on the Joe Rogan Experience. Do you really want to go on the Joe Rogan Experience? Donald Trump isn't afraid to go. And this is why I think the odds are in Trump's favor. Because Trump is out there. Trump is being himself. And look, I understand. I look at all this all the time. I look at numbers. I look at polling sites. I hear the news. I see this all the time. But if I had to, I would vote on Donald Trump right now. Again, I want to make myself clear. I'm not pushing that, this is going to be a red wave. I'm not pushing that, this is Donald Trump got this in the bag. Don't worry about it. And the reason I'm saying this is because in 2020, we did that, and guess what happened? We had Joe Biden as president. You remember? And I remember. I was one of them. Joe Biden will never, ever win. Joe Biden could never, ever be the president of the United States, and guess what? He won. Now, you can have your beliefs about the 2020 election. I have my own beliefs. Okay, for all the people that are listening, I have beliefs about the 2020 election. But now the 2020 election is done. But what I'm saying is Republicans like myself got relaxed. We were relaxed. We thought we had it in the bag that Donald Trump would be the next president for 4 years. And guess what? He was removed from office. Now, like I said, you can have your opinion if you believe that there was some actions in the 2020 election. But Donald Trump did not become president. And and look, this is, I remember right after the election, I came and I started a podcast. I felt obligated and led to. People were asking me questions and I knew I had the knowledge and I could give this knowledge to people. But, prior to that, I used to do videos in 2016. Right before Donald Trump was inaugurated in 2017, I was talking about how Clinton was bad and how we should have voted for Donald Trump. And I would give my insight. And people were telling me, Isaac, you need to do something with the radio. You need to do something with the news. Podcasting wasn't a big thing then yet. But the videos were. That's how Graham Allen started. But after the election, I was relaxed. Donald Trump was president. And I remember I didn't make no more videos. But this time, we need to continue going. If Donald Trump wins, I'm going to be behind his microphone unless the Lord says something different, because I rely on his timing and his will, not my will. But there's going to be people out there that are still going to be talking. We don't need to be relaxed. The election is not over. You see, and this is another thing. This is why I don't like polling. Okay, I told you already, I follow state-to-state polls. I don't follow national polls, because the national polling doesn't mean diddly squat. That's a popular vote. Even that, Donald Trump is winning the popular vote right now. That don't mean diddly squat. It's the Electoral College. You have to follow them state-by-state polls. And we're coming down to 7 of them that we don't, where it's toss-ups and could be possible outcome for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. So if you're looking at the polls, well, Donald Trump's winning by 2, it's a toss-up. Don't give in to that. Don't get relaxed. Don't go sit in the lazy boy and say Trump got this. We don't need to work. You need to go out and you need to vote. If you're voting early right now, go vote early. Get your votes in. If you're thinking, well, I'm going to do it on election day, hey, on election day, make it to the polls. Assuming election day is the last day you can vote. Why do I say that? Because Pennsylvania let them go 3 or 4 days after. Georgia was a couple of days after. We don't need to stop. We need to keep on steamrolling. But I just thought it was interesting. These odds are turning into Trump's favor. We need to make sure that he wins this thing. Donald Trump is one person. We need to make sure that he gets in office. But at the same time, you need to vote up and down the ballot for Republicans. Because if Donald Trump becomes the president and he loses the Senate and the House, guess what? It don't mean nothing. It's a hung government again. If you want Trump's agenda passed, you have to vote Republican. Even on this, I know I have local people that listen to this show. We have amendments on the ballot. We have tax renewals on the ballot. We have our public service commissioner. We have our good friend Albert Guillory in District 6. My fault. I haven't reached out and tried to get him on here, but he is running for District 6. I want to interview him. We talked to Miss Lynch from District 2 that's running. There's good conservatives that are running. You need to vote Republican. You need, and look, well, Isaac, what about District 6 and District 2? Ain't that normally Democrat areas? Yes, let's flip them. Because the more representatives we have in the House that are Republican, the better we are off. If you look, and I'm talking, I know I got, people from New Jersey. I got people from all over the nation that listen to this show. You need to go ahead and vote. And just don't vote for Trump. Vote up and down the ballot for Republicans. Unless there's a Democrat on the ticket that is a Holy Ghost-filled, Bible-believing Christian that will do things right and not according to the Democrat platform, you need to vote Republican, because the platform they're running on is more biblically accurate than the Democrat Party's platform. I always say, well, how can I vote for Trump? Trump's running on a platform that's biblical. And it's not all biblical. There's things I disagree with the Republican platform, but guess what? They're the one that are close. They're the closest in line to our biblical beliefs. And ladies and gentlemen, look, like I said, I don't believe in betting, but do you know over $1 billion has been betted on this election already? Over $1 billion. Who you betting on? And I can understand some of you that are listening and watching on the camera here. I know you probably vote. You're probably hoping Donald Trump wins. I'm going to ask a question. Will you put your money on it? Now, I'm not telling you to go to FanDuel and bet for the presidential election. That's up to you if you want to do it. But it's starting to look good for our cause. We cannot give up right now. We can't look at these numbers and say, we got it in the bag. No, don't do that. Because I'm going to tell you, look, a football analogy. I remember, and I can't remember the season. Man, I don't think it was 2008. I don't know what year it was when the Patriots went undefeated. They won the AFC playoff rounds. They won the AFC championship, and they fought the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. I was one to say, man, the Patriots are unbeatable. I remember saying this. I'm pulling for the Giants, but man, I don't think the Patriots are unbeatable. If you would have looked at the betting odds, Patriots had it. But at the end of the game, the Giants pulled out on top. So the betting odds were all wrong. We want the betting odds to be right, yes. And our way to do that is to work for Trump and vote him into office. Don't trust the polling. Don't trust the betting odds. But just again, who are you hoping to win? Who are you putting your money behind? If you say Trump, you need to go vote Trump. If you say Kamala and you're a Christian, you need to research your facts. But even that though, these betting odds. Again, the reason I brought this out was I didn't mean to go into this long rant. But the reason I brought this out is it's looking good for us, but we cannot stop. We have to keep going. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Middle East. Israel strikes Hezbollah naval base in Beirut as Iran rallies Gulf Arab nations. This happened Tuesday. Israel went ahead and launched a few missiles. Hezbollah launched a few missiles into central Israel on Tuesday, sending residents fleeing to shelters but causing no apparent damage or injuries, the Israel authorities said. So Hezbollah has not stopped. Even with their leader gone, they are not stopping. The terrorist group fired 5 projectiles from within Lebanon into Israel. The Israel military said adding the most were intercepted by Israel missile defense system, while one landing in an open area. Israel police said there were no reports of damage or injuries following the rockets. Now, so you might be saying, Isaac, I thought you said Israel struck. Hold on. Meanwhile, Israel targeted a Hezbollah naval base in Beirut overnight, the Israel military said Tuesday, as Iran worked to rally Gulf Arab nations ahead of a potential retaliation strike from the Jewish state. The Hezbollah naval base held a training center, an area to contain experiment and military speedboats. They were intended to be used in an attack on Israel's Navy vessels and target within Israel's territorial waters, Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, said. So they're not stopping. They're not stopping. The terrorists are not stopping, but Israel is continuing to defend themselves. Now, all you left-leaning people that think, oh, Israel should stop their military base. No, they shouldn't. Because if Israel stops, Hezbollah will annihilate Israel. Hamas will annihilate Israel. Iran is trying to annihilate Israel. This is some more of what Israel did. Israel also conducted strikes on Hezbollah's weapon storage facilities, command centers, and additional terrorist targets in Beirut, some of which were located underground, the IDF says. Israel took steps to mitigate the risk of harming civilians, including issuing precisions and advanced warnings to civilians in the area before launching the strikes. According to the IDF, the strikes came as expectations grow over how Israel will retaliate for Tehran's October 1st ballistic missile attack on Israel. So Israel is not done. And look, I'm going to say this. As for Israel, okay, a lot of people will say, oh, they're committing genocide. They will say that they're hurting civilians. Have you ever heard of an army or a nation in general sending warnings, telling people, hey, go find a bunker? Go get into some shelter, get away from the storm, get away from the fire. We're about to target y'all area. I'm sounding southern right there, y'all. We're about to shoot rockets into your area. Y'all need to run. Have you ever heard of a nation doing that? I don't even think America did that when we went ahead and shot Iraq in 2002, I believe it is. We didn't give no warning. That to my, I could be wrong. I'm not gonna state myself as fact. I'm just trying to remember. I was so young at the time when we invaded Iraq, and we just pulled out of there a few years ago. But Israel goes ahead and tells these people, we're about to shoot rockets. But Israel's the bad one. Israel's the one that should stop fighting. Israel's the one that should stop pushing their military further and further into Lebanon and into the Gaza Strip. Israel needs to stop. But Israel don't need to stop. You know why? Because Israel takes care of their enemies. Because their enemies want to see their destruction. And look, we're going to talk about Sinwar, who was killed by Israel forces. They took him out. And bad as Glenn Beck said, bad news for him, good news for the Jewish people. But Sinwar, Israel needs to take out these butchers. Why? Because they don't want peace. They don't want a two-state solution. They want to annihilate Israel. And they will do whatever they can to do that, even if it's using the United States as a puppet. Why do I say that? Well, Sinwar told Hamas to reject his hostage deal because Biden and Harris were caving on Israel. This report was released on October 21st. Sinwar, the Hamas commander who masterminded the October 7th massacre, reportedly told Hamas officials based outside of Gaza to reject any deals to return hostages, in part because the Biden-Harris administration was beginning to turn on Israel. The information was featured in a report from the Wall Street Journal about the efforts that went into locating and killing Sinwar after he spent a year on the run following the attacks. He told Hamas political leaders to refuse making any concessions and to prolong negotiations for as long as possible because high civilian casualties will create worldwide pressure on Israel, the report says. Around March, Sinwar urged them to refuse a hostage deal, the report said. He said that Hamas, an Iranian-backed terrorist organization, had an upper hand in part because of the mounting U.S. pressure to abate the suffering in Israel. In Gaza, correction. Everyone, look, this is the result of people, France, and other nations, including the United States, telling Israel to back off. I've said that. How many times I've said this on the microphone? Look, they're not stopping. Israel took out their leaders, and they're still trying to annihilate Israel. The Hamas leader said, I don't want to make a deal because the United States and other countries are coming to our aid because they're putting pressure on Israel. And you had the president and the vice president echoing, oh, I need a ceasefire. You want proof? Well, here's what Kamala Harris said about Gaza, and someone quoted White House. He talked about White House pressure to reject Israel's. Excuse me, I'm getting worked up. Dr. Mike, if you're listening, you can't talk because it's early in the morning. I can't because I'm passionate. He pressured to reject hostage deal. Listen to this. On March 21st, that's when Hamas and Sinwar went ahead and rejected an offer of Israel to counter-offered in Gaza 6 weeks to release 700 Palestinian prisoners. In the days leading up to the Hamas rejection of the ceasefire deal, Vice President Harris ramped up her criticism of Israel's government, taking a even firmer stance that President Joe Biden, who was caught on a high mic that month, saying he told the Israel Prime Minister that he would have to come to Jesus moment. On March 3rd, Harris harshly criticized Israel in Selma, Alabama speech, where she demanded an immediate ceasefire, calling the images from Gaza devastating. She claimed Palestinians were shot when approaching trucks carrying humanitarian aid. The IFF said that Palestinians were killed or injured when stampeding each other. In a speech, Harris accused Israel of imposing unnecessary restrictions on humanitarian aid and called for the ceasefire without tying the release of more than 100 Israeli hostages as a precondition. Members of the National Secret Service Council reportedly toned down parts of the original speech drafted which were harsher on Israel, NBC reported. The same day, Harris took to X to reiterate her call for a ceasefire, calling the situation in Gaza devastating, and saying our common humanitarian completes us to act, complies us to act. The post made no mention of the hostages. A day later, Harris met with Israeli politicians and Netanyahu's rival Benny Gantz, then a member of the Netanyahu war cabinet, who traveled to Washington in defeat and to talk about the prime minister. And there's a quote on March 9th. With an interview on CBS, she criticized Israel. March 24th, there's evidence that Kamala Harris was telling Israel to stop. Told them to stop fighting, stop pressing forward, stop to try to take out their enemies. And guess what? Hamas and Sinwar wanted that. So who's the friend of Israel? Not the Democrat Party. Not Harris, not Biden. When you look at it like this, who they were helping more? And I said this all the time. A ceasefire would not help Israel. It would only help Hamas and the terrorist organizations that are trying to take out Israel. This was a butcher, Sinwar. He went ahead and orchestrated October 7th. He don't care about human life. And for him to say we got the upper hand because Israel's pressing, the United States is pressuring Israel to stop fighting. Who is the Biden administration helping? Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm about to say something that's probably going to make every left-leaning person have his cassons or her cassons in a bunch. Harris and Biden are two faces. They don't care about Israel. While they're looking at a camera, they're our greatest ally. They have the right to defend themselves. But they shouldn't advance. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. Your actions are speaking louder than your words. When a terrorist says, hey, don't accept anything because we have the upper hand. Why, sir? We have greater missiles? No. We got bigger guns? No. We have the United States politicians, Harris and Biden. They're caving on Israel. I remember when October 7th happened. It was a bad day. I came on this microphone and I condemned the violence. And I said this, Israel needs to take out these people. And I said it on that. I remember the first podcast I said that. I said America is going to back Israel until a couple of weeks. By golly, in 2 weeks, Israel was forsaken by the United States of America, telling them to calm down. Military action is not the answer. And I'm going to be honest, you know why Benjamin Netanyahu is so successful? He's not listening to Biden. He's not. Everything Biden says, he does opposite. And guess what? He's successful. Americans should take note. They should take note. We should go ahead and reject everything Biden did and do totally opposite. I think our country would be better. On that note, I just got a breaking news story. By the time this airs and premieres, you're going to go ahead and see it. I want to make sure that I got it. I want to... Politico New York Post just released that Tulsi Gabbard is joining the Republican Party. About time. Tulsi Gabbard, she was a Democrat. She turned independent. Now she's seen the light. She's becoming a Republican. Probably talk more about that if nothing else bigger happens on the next show, which you can listen to me on Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and on our Spotify platforms. You can go ahead and look at my link at the bottom of this video, and you can get all that. So, but yeah, Israel, they're not. Unfortunately, Israel. If anyone from Israel is listening, the Biden-Harris administration is not your friend, and I hope Americans They follow Netanyahu's lead and don't listen to nothing and vote Trump. Let's go. All right. So we hear a lot of stories about how Donald Trump's going to lock up his political opponents. That that we need to go ahead and that we don't need to trust Donald Trump because Donald Trump's gonna put us into a dictatorship, and he's gonna go ahead and go after his political rivals. Well, somebody needs to tell Joe Biden that that's wrong, because Biden went ahead and talked about Trump at a political campaign event on Tuesday. And President Joe Biden said at a campaign event on Tuesday that former President Donald Trump had to be locked up because of the threat that he presents to this country. The current sitting president is telling the nation that a former sitting president who is also a political rival of his, twice, not once, twice, remember he was running, that he should be locked up. Now, this plays into a lot of factors. Why? Because one, I thought we were supposed to tone down the political rhetoric, saying that he is a threat because of the threat he proposes to this country or presents to this country. Maybe this is why a 20-year-old man and a 40-some-year-old man try to take out a former president of the United States because of rhetoric like that he's a threat to their so-called democracy. We talked about this in a while back about if that is their democracy, if their version of democracy is what, I'm glad Donald Trump's a threat. Because first off, we're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. Me and several other podcasters have brought this out. We are a constitutional republic. We are a land that is surrounded by laws, not a majority rules. But you have Joe Biden, you have Donald Trump, you have all these politicians. I like Donald Trump, but I'm just, when he says we are a democracy, I wish he would come up and say, we're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. I think he would open the eyes to a lot of people. But knowing them, a lot of people that are ignorant and stupid would say, he wants to change the constitutional republic. That ain't right. And not realizing we already won. But these remarks were made by Biden in Connecticut, New Hampshire, for the Democrat candidates Joyce Craig and Megan Goodlander. He is talking about doing away with the entire Department of Education, Biden said, which is true. Donald Trump said we need to eliminate that and bring it back to the states. You see how they bring this out, though? Okay, and look, I'm breaking down his so-called speech. He only said he wanted to take out the Department of Education. He did not say how Donald Trump had a situation for this problem. Get rid of the Department of Education, take it out from the federal government, and send it back to the states, like it was originally intended to do. The federal government did not have any hold on the Department of didn't have no hold on education until Department of Education came about. See, he don't talk about the solution. He wants to take away the Department of Education, which is a lot of money, by the way, that we could use somewhere else. Biden said he's talking. He means it. This is not a joke. Like he. Every time I read that, I think of the actor that plays Joe Biden on SNL. Hey, really? No joke. Anyway, this is a guy who also wants to replace every civil servant, every single one of them. Huh? We need civil servants. Now, if he's talking about cutting back the federal government, he's taking that from Elon Musk, where, like I said, the federal government is supposed to be small, by the way. I'm just saying. Our founding fathers wanted a small federal government, and the states run themselves. But over time, the federal government got bigger and has taken more power away from the states. Again, our founding fathers are probably turning over in his grave. Think he has the right under the Supreme Court ruling on immunity to be able, if he need to, if it was the case, to actually physically eliminate, shoot, kill someone who he believes is a threat to him. First off, the Supreme Court ruling that the president does not have total full immunity. He has immunity as the president of the United States. And also, Biden is talking about he can do whatever he wants and there are no consequences. They impeached Donald Trump twice on trumped-up charges. No pun intended to Trump. Think about, okay, the Democrats are saying he has immunity. He can do whatever he wants. Oh, my goodness. But we have an impeachment process. That if the House of Representatives and the Senate says, hey, he is not fulfilling his role or he did something unconstitutional, we can go ahead. We're going to impeach him. And after he's impeached, he can go ahead and be charged for the crime that he was impeached from. So the president does not have full immunity. There is checks and balance that a president was, man, will this get me out of office? I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre, Biden said. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'll lock me up, we're going to lock him up. Several seconds later, after realizing what he said, Biden added, politically lock him up. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when the Democrat Party accuses you of doing something, 9 out of 10, they're doing it. The Democrat Party will say, you're racist. They're the party of race. Remember, this is the party that the KKK came from. Oh, you're going to lock up your political opponents. You're trying to lock up your political opponents. Oh, he wants full, he's going to have full immunity. 9 out of 10, you want full immunity. I'm just saying, Biden, and look, Biden quit, politically lock him up. No, you let the cat out the bag. And this should be viral all over the place. But I'm going to tell you, mainstream media will not report this. It's the same thing. You know, we talked about how Kamala Harris told some students that cried, Jesus is Lord and Christ is King at one of her rallies, told her, hey, you're at the wrong rally, sent them out. You know, that wasn't reported on mainstream media. You know who exposed her? TikTok and podcasters like You're Truly, Two Mics Live, Corporate Canteen Cup, the Dr. Michael Sorcerer, the Jeff Hayhorn Show, Amber May, Kelby and Dago, the Kelby and Joe Show. I don't know if they talked about it because they haven't aired yet, but I'm just saying. Podcasters like us broke the story and people listen to us because their faith in the media is so low right now. This isn't going to be reported on the mainstream media. This is why us podcasters got to do our job and research. So we let you, the audience, know. Donald Trump Jr. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. Donald Trump Jr. quickly responded to the clip, posting to X, they're not even hiding it. The lawfare against my father was always about election interference. Biden remarks may put President Kamala Harris in a bid as she campaigns for president, as she might be forced to distance herself from Biden's comments and Rick's angering Democrat voters. However, if Harris agreed with Biden, she'd be accused of supporting and weaponizing the Justice Department, which could hurt her with her independent voters. A current Biden-Harris administration official report to Biden's remark by saying, we got to lock Joe up. That, for better or worse, no one is listening to him anymore. This is Don Jr. going on. They want to lock up Donald Trump. We've been saying this, and it's probably going to happen. If Donald Trump does not win on November 5th, they're going to put Donald Trump in jail, all because he stood against the narrative. All right, let's move on. Another Midwestern town. I thought this was another article. Let's see. Dang it. There we go. Okay, another Midwestern town inundated with Haitian migrants. Residents have lodged complaints in Springfield, Ohio, and Charlottesville, Pennsylvania, too. This is another town that has been overrun with Haitian immigrants. Now, this comes from, let's give you some context of what nobody was talking about. Springfield, Ohio. How Haitian migrants that were given a free pass to come across this border to live in our land, and all these Haitians, gangsters, took over an apartment complex. Nobody worried about it. Now, it got headlines when Donald Trump said they were eating the cats and they're eating the dogs, and people, I can't believe Trump said something like that. When there's reports, people are like, hey, we don't know where our animals are. Now we don't know if they were eating them or whatever, but they're losing pets. They were doing stuff of that nature, and all of a sudden, Springfield, Ohio, had the national spotlight, and they realized, oh shoot, what Donald Trump was saying, besides eating the cats and eating the dogs, they were being overrun by Haitian migrants, and apparently there's another one in Charlottesville. This is according to the Daily Wire. Residents from another Midwestern town, this time in Indiana, it's happening in Indiana again. Say city resources are being strained and their children put last due to a sudden influx of migrants from Haiti. Thousands of new migrants hauling mostly from Haiti are now living in Longport, Indiana, a town with a population of just 18,000. Though local officers say they have not been given any answers on just how many migrants have moved in, estimates range from 3,000 to 5,000 Haitians. The surrounding areas have seen an influx as well, with an estimate of 11,000 new migrants countrywide. Logansport Mayor Chris Martin has said that there are a assimilation issue related to the culture, according to the reports from the New York Post. Now, and I thought this was what it was when I saw it. I should have read the article a little better. There's a caravan coming from Mexico back, and they're trying to reach here before the election. So there's people still coming across the border. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why we need Donald Trump in office. Donald Trump said, look, I'm going to deport all illegals that came across the border. And he also said, I'm going to go ahead and close the border. Look, there's something wrong when you hear of people coming across the border willy-nilly, and right before the election, they want to come over. Because they're afraid Donald Trump's going to win the election. This is a problem in our country. Listen, a town of 18,000 getting to 3,000 to 5,000 people. It's not 1 or 2, 10, 5, 15, whatever. It is 3,000 to 5,000 people that are coming across the border. Well, coming into this town. With an estimate of 11,000 new migrants countrywide. It's not a small number. My sinuses are killing me. And look, I don't know the percentage wise, but of a town of 18,000, Logansport, there's 18,000 residents and 3,000 to 5,000 people show up. That's going to hurt the local economy. And look, residents are saying where our local officials are being, thinned out, and our children are being put in last. And look, this is the Biden-Harris administration. This is their fault. This is their fault. They allowed them in without vetting them. Now they're taking over the country. And look, this is a example of what we need not to do in the future. And Harris saying, well, we went ahead and we put an executive order to slow it down. The damage is done already. There's people in this place that should not be here. And that's a grave threat to our constitutional republic. They want to say that the Republicans are a threat to democracy. No, that's a threat to our constitutional republic. And it needs to be stopped, and it needs to be stopped on November 5th. All right. Let's talk about the media a little bit. We got a few more minutes. I couldn't resist putting this in here. And the New York Times, man, look, okay, I want to say this. New York Times is an icon in media. Every journalist, which I don't know why, but every journalist wants to get a shot at the New York Times. The New York Times used to be a paper that was revered and respected. But recently, they have just been an anchor for the left. They have been a voice for left-leaning rhetoric. And as you know, last weekend, Donald Trump went to a McDonald's, which the media didn't show the huge crowd that was there. They They didn't show all the people that were cheering Donald Trump on. Now, look, I don't give him too much credit, but Harry was like, look, this is all fake and stage, which, like, none of Harris's things were fake and stage. They probably had people go through that. But like I said, Secret Service, they had to close the McDonald's down. You got to see who's going through the drive-thru. This is the president of the United States they're about to go see, or the former president of the United States they're about to go see. You don't think Secret Service knew who was in the vehicles? But this whole McDonald's thing did make Donald Trump look good. Him serving people, him wearing the apron, and I said in the last episode, this was a good look for Donald Trump. Now, left-wing media have said that they accuse Donald Trump of looking down on the lower class, and he hasn't really hold a good job and everything. It just they're making all kinds of stuff. But again, I'm talking about the New York Times, because the New York Times did something with this story that really, really made me wonder, why the heck are they even in the news business? Again, look, a lot of people want these places shut down. I'm going to quote Dr. Michael Schwartz, and I think I've said it on the show before that too. Like The View. Look, I even said, no, I've said this about The View. The View needs to be shut off. The View, they do not contribute. They don't contribute to nothing. Okay? But it does give us good content to work on. Anyway, and this is what the New York Times did. It's funny. So former President Donald Trump, again, spent some time in a McDonald's franchise on Sunday. And the Times ran a story on Monday titled, Trump took a turn at the fryer. McDonald workers have thoughts. McDonald workers have thoughts. Okay. After Donald Trump served fast food during a campaign stop at McDonald's, the sub-headline read, several workers said the candidate showed a willingness to learn, but should stick to his day job. The Times spoke, and I'm reading from the Daily Wire, by the way. The Times spoke to several McDonald's employees who said that the right away something had seemed to be not quite right with Trump's job performance. Think about this: the Times took their valuable time and went out to find workers to criticize Donald Trump. You know, on how not his customer service, and him loading up fries. The box looked backwards, complained David E., a 3-year employee at McDonald's in Lower Manhattan. He doesn't seem to know how to do it. Well, duh! Donald Trump don't know how to work at McDonald's because he never worked at McDonald's. He worked there for 15 minutes and they wanted him to be a pro? But the New York Times thought this was a good piece to put up to show how bad Donald Trump was at being a McDonald's employee. Another was concerned after seeing that Trump jokingly tossed a pinch of salt over his shoulder when he spilled a little. Kishana, a McDonald's manager in Flatbush, told the Times, "You don't throw salt like that. Somebody could have been behind you, you know." It gets better. Hold on. A cashier at McDonald's in Queens objected to the campaign stop in its entirety, claiming that it minimized the work she did every day. Oh, that a man could do. A man that has been rich all his life goes into a McDonald's 15 minutes and does everything that you want $15 to $20 to do? Oh, how many days are they going to drag this out? Why do they keep playing in these hands? John Gabriel asks, I know there are smarter people even to have lived. They wear glasses, not thoughtfully. They must have a good reason. In response to the New York Times post. Oh no, Trump will never get promoted to shift manager now. Another post. Okay, this is why I'm bringing this out. How ridiculous is this? You have the New York Times writing a whole article criticizing Donald Trump's work performance when that was the first time that's not the first time he walked into a McDonald's, okay? He promoted McDonald's back in 2002. He's he has pictures of him on Air Force One and Marine One eating a Big Mac. Okay, so this isn't the first time he went to a McDonald's, but this was the first time he worked at a McDonald's. Come on, worried about somebody being behind him throwing salt? You know how many superstitious people have done that, thrown salt over their shoulder? And why did the New York Times do this? Well, the New York Times did this to make Donald Trump look bad. But in reality, it's made them look bad. Criticizing a presidential candidate because he didn't do the fries right? What would have they said if Harris would have done this? Going to McDonald's and put the fries in. Oh my goodness, look how good she did it. Oh, she's so presidential doing that. She cares for the American people. Donald Trump does it, and he looks civilized. Dr. Michael Schwartz said it the best way. I'm not trying to keep quoting him. It's just I listen to his show all the time, and he brings out some good points. He looked like a grandpa in this footage. To me, he looked like a normal, everyday American. Because you know how many Americans have to work at McDonald's to pay their bills because that's their second job? This shows he's not afraid to go down. Even if people, well, it was the restaurant had to be closed. This is the former president of the United States, for God's sake. He's already been people tried to shoot at him twice. But for the New York Times, like I said, a pinnacle in media. Almost every respectable journalist wants to work there. I don't know why they would want to work there after this. They didn't sound like the New York Times, a news organization. They sound like the New York Times, the tabloid. They sound like look. You ever went to Walmart and they had their magazines on the side, and they have these stories of Hollywood figures and the paparazzi. They have all these magazines, and the stories are so far-fetched that they're not even considered news. They're just considered gossip. That's what this article belongs, on that shelf, in that magazine. That's nothing but fake news. A gossip column. But the New York Times puts it in their newspaper, and guess what? Oh, my goodness. It's gospel. Look, I would be so embarrassed if I was a McDonald's employee and the New York Times came asking me, hey, can you talk about Donald Trump's performance on the job? Now, Donald Trump has never taken a class on how to do the fries. Donald Trump was in there for like 15, 20 minutes. You expect him to be, as one ex-poster said, a shift manager and knowing what to do? Give me a break, New York Times. Give me a break. All right, with that being said, it's going to wrap up the show for today. I want to thank you, as always, for listening to the Isaac Hayes Show. Please remember to like and subscribe to the show. Always check out the show at 10 a.m. on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We will see you Friday. Please, again, remember to subscribe or follow, depending on the platform you're listening on. Until next time, you be blessed, you be encouraged. You have a good one.